April 2, 2012 meeting in order. Ask you all to stand and recite with me, please. And
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call roll, please, John.
Mr. Seas?
Here.
Mr. Cromwell?
Here.
Mr. Feldstein? Mr. Shrimpke? Here. Mr. Shadle? Mr. Tyler?
Here.
Chairman Manchester.
Here. Kathy, you have the minutes motion.
Yes, sir. I move that the reading of the minutes for March 19th, 2012 be waived, and that the minutes of said meeting, as prepared by the Secretary, be approved as written.
Second by Shrimpke. Any discussion? Call roll.
Mr. Seas?
Aye.
Mr. Cromwell?
Aye.
Ms. Shrimpke?
Aye.
Mr. Tyler?
Aye.
Chairman Manchester.
Aye. Bill, you have the main motion for waiver of subdivision.
The intent, there it is back here, got on the bottom.
I've been shuffling.
Yeah. I move that this commission receive and file an application of M. Brian Davis for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 2470 Lone Oak Road. I further move that the requested approval be given and that compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Tyler. Discussion.
This is creating a little over an acre lot on the corner of Bleach and Lone Oak Road. It's going to be for Casey's General Store. They're creating two ingress and egress easements. One is off Bleach Road around the neighborhood of Kmart's Garden Center. It's a 35-foot ingress-egress easement. And the other one is a 50-foot easement that's on an existing curb cut on Lone Oak Road now. It's not creating any new curb cuts or anything like that.
Any questions? Kathy? This gentleman drew this up.
Can we ask you a question?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Well, step right up here so when we ask you, then you'll feel comfortable answering.
Okay.
I wanted to know, around the perimeter of this area, will there be any kind of divider, any kind of curb, any kind of planting, any kind of...
Yes. I actually brought a couple of copies of our site plan that's in preliminary design that I kind of robbed from our CAD operators. I was walking out the door this afternoon. There will be a curb. There will likely be a retaining wall along the back side of the property just due to the steepness of the slope of the existing parking lot to even that out, because it is kind of it's probably got a 8 or 9% grade on it right now. And then in behind, there will be some relocating of some of the parking spaces to create a travel lane in behind the store to maintain at least one directional traffic flow because of the way the parking spaces are looped, where you would come up to the end and basically just turn around. They're the angular relationship of the parking spaces. So it will be basically kind of like an island into it, of itself, so to speak.
And then I assume that the parking of the lot will be graded such that water will be funneled into that private storm sewer easement?
Yes. It maybe even shows, I think, on the layout plan, I think some of the storm lines on it, or on the utility plan or the layout plan, there's everything will be funneled into that existing storm line that's there. And our engineer has had some discussions with the city engineer regarding that situation, whether or not stormwater detention will be required, and just the terminal point of connection of where the runoff from that parking lot will go, and that is the intended location.
I have a question now. The Casey's General Store, that's primarily like a store that,
They are a convenience store chain based in Ankeny, Iowa. Ankeny is a small suburb of Des Moines, Iowa. That is where their major distribution, where their only distribution center is. They have 1,600 stores in 9 states. This is their third site we are working on in Kentucky for them. We started a fourth in Owensboro, but we have one going in Cadiz, Paducah, Owensboro, and I'm trying to remember where the other one is. Henderson.
They also have gas.
Yeah, it is. They consider themselves a convenience store with gasoline sales.
They
Yes.
don't have car wash or anything like that.
Some of the stores have car washes. I don't think this one will have a car wash.
From this,
I ask because of the water situation and the dip on the lot, right?
Sure, understood, yeah.
there is no ingress or egress off of Lone Oak Road or Bleach Road, except
It will just be the existing curb cuts. There is no additional,
to enter the convenience store gas station. They will have to go into the part of the parking lot that faces the front of Kmart.
correct. The main entrance off of US 45, you would come into that and take an immediate right to enter into the site, or the one down on Bleach Road that kind of lines up with the face of the existing Kmart store building. You go in and make an immediate left, and then that's where Josh had mentioned we are establishing a 35-foot wide easement to follow just the perimeter edge of their parking lot, kind of on around, coming into the backside of the store site.
All right. One other question or two. That egress on Lone Oak Road, is that right there as you pass that light? Is that where you're talking about going into the general store? The general store?
When you say past the line, do you mean?
There's on one corner there's Sea Plant Credit Union.
Mhm.
I'm coming into town,
Okay.
and just right past the light there.
As soon as you cross Bleach Road, there's a short little turn lane, if you will, slip lane that goes into the Kmart shopping center right now.
I'm aware of that one.
Okay.
I'm actually talking about right on Lone Oak Road.
Okay.
Is that where you're talking about egressing into the?
Yeah, right where the existing entrance is into Kmart. We're just, Casey's is not purchasing that land where the entrance is, so they're just obtaining an easement from the landowner to use that entrance.
That's a pretty congested area right now already. There's several, I travel that occasionally, and I know that Lone Oak Road there is pretty traveled area, and it gets pretty congested there. Just trying to get across the light there even. And also, the traffic flow that's going into that line, now, how would that flow with the existing traffic that's already going to Kmart?
Well,
Will those flow together, or will you have curves around?
there will be a separate curb around the Casey site, like I said, kind of defining, that corner piece that's being split off. And then one of the requirements that the DOT has placed on it is that Casey's extend that turn lane about another 75 feet, so it will actually be about 125 feet longer now. This is the turn lane that comes, like if you're going from south to north, that when I say turn lane, it's off the edge of the main pavement.
You're talking about actually on Lone Oak Road?
Along Lone Oak Road, yes, it would be like on the east side of Lone Oak Road. There's a separate, like a 12-foot wide turn lane there that goes into the Kmart.
Well, yeah, I think
complex.
I think there's a center turn lane all the way up that Lone Oak Road street just about.
You're talking like what they typically call a dual left-hand turn lane. Some people call it a center suicide lane because you always have oncoming traffic. Yeah.
I had a concern about coming out of Casey's in the egress that is on Lone Oak and making a left. Had there been any thought to not allowing a left and having come around to?
No one has placed that requirement on it. I mean, in a sense, the traffic pattern is not going to be any different than it is, basically right now, other than, there might at times be a little bit of increased flow, but there will be no change in the traffic pattern per se. But the DOT has looked at it, the city engineering department has looked at it, and they have not had any objection to it.
And I have no problem with turning right.
No, I understand.
It goes with the flow. The
Mhm.
left-hand turn going toward the county was my concern.
Couple of questions. Number one is what is the distance back from Long Oak Road before you can come into the proposed casing property?
You mean along the turn lane?
Well, after you turn right in.
Oh, I say, after you turn right?
Take that with you. I can look on over here. They have one?
I'm going to say it's approximately. You see that dimension leader that shows 45 feet from the edge of the road? If you're looking at the layout plan, it may not show on the plat, but if you have a copy of the layout plan, it's probably going to be about something a little less than 45 feet, because that's dimensioned from the edge of the pavement there.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you speak up a little?
I'm sorry. It's roughly a little less than 45 feet before you turn into the radius return of the entrance.
Got it.
Are you looking at the utility plan or the layout plan, sir?
I'm looking at the layout plan.
Okay. If you see that dimension of 45 feet,
Oh, the utility plan. Yeah, I'm looking at the utility.
oh, okay.
Oh, that's,
From about this point to this point. No, I'm talking about from this point to the highway.
Right.
Or the right turn lane.
This is about a 10-foot lane, so 10 feet less 45 from this curb line.
About 35
About
feet.
35 feet roughly.
And coming out, somebody that wants to go to Long Oak Road
Yeah, they
would
would
have
come
to
out on
pull,
this side of it.
would pull across two lanes of traffic, one of which is turning right,
maybe,
maybe.
and maybe not.
Right is good. Yeah. Left is.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
This one, are they the same? I think they are the same. So this is about 35 feet.
So if there's a couple of them back there, one of them. Use the first service station, you see that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Even though the whole concept might be good, if there's an area that we would like them to revisit, can we bring that up? I mean,
Surely.
for instance, that left-hand turn into Lone Oak is bothering me a lot, and I hate to vote against the whole project, but I really think more consideration should be put to that.
I tend to agree with that also. At rush hour, in early morning and in the afternoon, that area is so congested with traffic. It's just I mean,
Well, and saying there's not any more traffic, yes, there is, because people are going to a service station now, not just Kmart. So,
and even going to that credit union on the corner there, that union.
can we request something like that, or can we not?
I guess they've done some traffic surveys in this area, isn't they?
Well, I think the issue is probably that Kmart can now turn left. So how can you change that and say that
You gotta have
Casey's
another stoplight.
cannot turn left, you know?
No, I mean, a stoplight, you can't have that one at the main
No,
intersection.
I want them all to turn right or go off Beach Road.
She wants it to be a right turn only out of this.
Right, and go around
Driveway.
Casey's over to Bleach Road and use the stoplight that's there,
Over here and use this one to turn.
if you want to go right.
You mean
I
left?
mean left, I'm sorry. The right hand doesn't bother me. The left hand, I think, would be safer. Go around Casey's to where the stoplight is.
And the question I have too is this whole area over here, the separate area that's not really being divided at this point, that'll be left open, correct? It won't really be, it won't have any
You mean
type of wall around
the balance of the lot?
the balance of the lot. That'll all just be, you can drive anywhere you
Yeah,
want.
yeah, yeah, it will be unchanged, yeah. I mean, I guess my comment would be to your traffic concerns is that the DOT has looked at this, and the city engineering staff have looked at this, and as long as it meets acceptable traffic engineering criteria, there's been no comment, at least to date. Now, we've not submitted our finalized engineering plans yet. These couple of site plans that I've kind of snagged out before I came today, our engineer is presently working on those. And so we will end up with about a 9 to 10 sheet set of complete construction plans that will be submitted for review and permitting by the city. So there will always be the opportunity for additional comment relative to traffic concerns. It's just that to date that we've, based on the preliminary concept plan, I guess I would call it, that Casey's has actually submitted to the city. Unless you're aware of anything, Josh, as far as other than the discussions we've had on the slip lane, there's been no, I guess what I would say, negative comment about turning left out of the Kmart parking lot.
Well, maybe I would feel better if they had discussed it and come.
Well, it may have been discussed, I don't know, but they just rendered no comment to us on it.
Well, the problem I see is a traffic one, too. It's not that this is not a 40-foot wide entrance to this property. The problem is somebody coming out, heading in the wrong way, will turn right, come around the pumps, to turn left to get on the Lone Oak Road. And they won't go down to the marked sign on the pavement that says right turn and left turn on there. They'll go immediately to the shortest distance, which will be close to the sign on the grass, it says here, and pull out across right turning traffic. And maybe they want to turn left also, but crossing, entering and exiting traffic from the shortest point, which would be right there. And I agree with Schramke that unless there is some type of, at least a bump that directs the traffic only to go right, it's going to be a nightmare. That's my own personal feeling as to this application. There's no indication on this layout plan to me that shows anything other than just ingress and egress to hopefully to them, a high volume traffic counts so they can sell gas and have this convenience store. And I'm sure each parking places I've seen no other parking places.
Well, there's going to be some parking, I think, over on the Bleach Road side, as I recall. Like I say, that plan is not 100% at this point. It was just kind of midstream, and I just grabbed it just for general looking purposes for this meeting, since we didn't have a current, completely engineered site plan at this time.
It's not complete, and it's before us now, and we agree to what we're looking at, and then it changes. Does it come before us again?
You'd have to ask Josh.
I'm not understanding this, because he said that about the traffic issue, too. I mean, the parking issue and the traffic issue. If we approve this, and then things change, and parking changes, or traffic changes, or whatever, does it come before us again?
Dan, my thought would be it'll be on the site plan.
This is a waiver of subdivision, which means severing one lot from another lot. And that's the purpose of the hearing tonight. And that's what we have facing us tonight. Now, the review of the site plan is a separate issue. And we're not approving any site plan. All we're doing tonight is approving the severance of the Lot A from the remainder of Lot 3.
Okay. So it will come before us again as a site plan.
I'm assuming
The
It's
site
either-
plans are different.
it's done, yeah, it's usually done basically now,
So it won't be before this commission, staff
staff and or engineering.
and engineering.
District one highways.
Mhm.
That's not sitting real well with me.
Since you've got a state highway out there, you've got the,
Oh, I understand
Guilty.
that. That's the reason but this is our subdivision of the property.
I understand.
And if we discharge off into the sunset, none of what we talked about tonight's going to be considered by anybody if we subdivided it.
But that's true with every one of our subdivisions,
That's true, but we normally get some indication of where the ingress and egress.
Well, I understand, yeah. And we've got it on here. It's drawn on here.
That's right. And it
There's
creates
no
a problem.
direction arrows.
It's
are-
within 30 feet of a primary road
Right.
with people turning in to and going across outbound traffic.
That's exactly what you're saying. Should we allow any business to be able to have this lot to allow any business?
I understand that they have design features that the state approves and the city, I'm sure, does too. But I don't know what it is, and we're not trying to delay you, sir.
I understand. I don't know if it's a possibility that you could make a recommendation based on, further, study of the, the traffic situation at that entrance, or however you'd want to try to phrase that.
Well, I think one of the points that he's making is that the ingress and egress is really close to Lone Oak Road, which is one of the things that we would be considering as part of this plat.
Understood.
So, if the commission has a problem with that, then maybe that's something that needs to be discussed before we approve the subdivision of property, if that's part of the subdivision of property.
I guess just thinking out loud about what you're asking, the buyer and seller have negotiated for, so much property to be sold for a certain price, obviously. And typically the way we work with Casey's General Stores is we do a survey for them, which we have done, and they overlay their construction design section overlays their store footprint site plan to fit, within the constraints of the parcel that their real estate department has negotiated with the seller. And based on the amount of property that has been negotiated for, at least on this site, with the placement of the canopy, a certain distance between the canopy and the building, a certain rear yard setback, and a certain sloping grading issue that we discussed briefly earlier, I don't know that there's a whole lot of opportunity to shift that entrance, let's say, further back away from Lone Oak Road, just based on the constraints of the site, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, with the language contained on the plat of subdivision, ingress and egress. That's the way it's going to be set up.
That's the way it is now. I mean, you got your ingress, egress number one just defined in here, and you've got your meets and bounds description, both of the two easements, and there's no requirement for either to be a directional, one way or another, and I'm not so certain that you would want that anyway.
Well, the alternative is not to prove the subdivision. I don't know if that's what we want to do. But we have concerns about it. And I guess those concerns, the way you've explained it, it would be up to the planning and zoning employees to approve it or not,
And the city engineer.
and the city engineer. Well, with no solutions, although Shrimp has suggested one.
Well, Josh suggested that maybe you might want to table it and let them look at it right in, right
Would
out.
do that.
I think that's the real problem. I think everybody else feels the same way. I don't want to delay this anymore, but again, we can get it on 2 weeks, even if we just have one item of business, like we took it on tonight. I will entertain a motion to table this motion to the subdivision until I go through. Ranch Shrimp made the motion to table.
Second.
Second by Cromwell. Further discussion. Call roll, please.
Ms. Shrampke. Mr. Tyler.
We're voting on the motion, right?
Motion to
Voting
table.
To table.
I vote if you want to table.
Aye.
Ms. Crecilius.
Aye.
Mr. Cromwell.
Aye.
Chairman Manchester.
Aye. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
your patience.
What that means is in 2 weeks, or not necessarily in 2 weeks.
Is there any other business?
Yeah, that's our next, we have a meeting.
No, you'll be on the agenda for the